Hey, good morning, people. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, this is little old me, Spirit Journey. Let me put my glasses on. Just a moment. Oh, yes, good morning. Yes, you're looking out my window, and that's little Laffy boy, little baby boy. Yeah, he was a little restless last night, a little restless. Just put him on the bed, put him back on the floor, back and forth. Yeah, he seems okay now. Well, morning to you. Hello, Friday. Yes, today is July 25, 2025, and the time is now, it's approaching 7 a.m. It's about 6:58 a.m. here in Rwanda. Yes, hello, viewer. Hello, hello. Boy, I have some interesting topics today. Before I forget, you know me. I want to talk about this vision I had regarding these young black boys that I saw. I also want to talk about, bring that into these videos that I saw online. Yes, hello, viewer. Hello, hello. I want to talk about these videos that I saw, and it's about blacks and their awakening, in my opinion. Hey, Gwendolyn. Hey, girl. Yeah. Yes. I think this is going to be a fantastic, fantastic video. Yeah. I want to talk about, I think people are waking up. People are waking up, and Black America. I think blacks around the world. I like to believe that we all starting to wake up, wake up, wake up. So I want to talk about these videos that I saw. Uh, One on what they call Afro-Cyprus, the island of Cyprus. They have black people there. It's in the yes, okay, South Florida. All right, hello, hello, hello. Yeah, my aunt's name was Gwendolyn. So hello, Gwendolyn Chambers. Yeah, I want to talk about this. This is very important. The videos that I'm seeing, and it's refreshing. And I was watching videos on uh, Black people awakening, a new sense of identity, and surprising this particular demographics that you have Afro-Cyprus people. Cyprus is in the Mediterranean, and it's very refreshing that I saw this. And then I just saw a video maybe 5 minutes ago regarding Obama and Black folk in America awakening regarding Obama. I know Obama was our messiah. Initially, we thought, but people waking up. Obama had put his foot in his mouth, and it's very problematic. So I'm gonna talk about that. What else? Oh, and a lot of deaths. Another person died. Another high profile. About 4 people passing away. Yeah, another one. I just got a notice on a feed on my phone regarding another passing away. And may they all rest in peace. So those are the areas that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the deaths that I saw, the videos on black people in America around the world awakening, and my vision that I saw today. And it's interesting that this vision that I had, it's really interesting. I did have my phone next to me in bed, and it was turned on, and that could influence what I was seeing. Yes. So I'm going to begin with the vision first and lead into the other topics that I talked about, right, and everything. And it's amazing how all this is occurring now. Okay, the vision that I had not too long ago, just a couple of minutes ago. Um, I saw, well, I know I had a very busy dream. It was a very, very busy dream. I don't know what dreams were about, but then I awakened, and then I did my meditation technique, and I had a vision. And this is what I saw. I saw these young Black African boys, dark complected. They had short hair, a standard short haircut that you would have on the continent and around the world, but which is a standard short haircut, African short haircut. Um, I don't remember what they were wearing, but they were wearing simple clothes. And they're in a room. I think it was a storage room. And the storage room, it was dark in the room. I think it was at least two young boys. The age of the boys could have been 11 years. They're young. Quiet. They didn't say anything. They were seated upon these sacks. This little, like you find here on the continent of Africa, and I'm sure probably in Asia too. These big bags. I think the capacity is, what was that? 100 kilograms. They're the big bags. And they were black in color, I think, or a very very dark color, like like this. Could have been even darker. It was dark, but it could have been something like that. The sacks were made out of. It looked like a cloth, but then like what do you call it? Burlap. It wasn't like that. It looked like a cloth bag. And they were seated upon them, I think. And I was looking at the sacks, and it had a pattern to it. I remember seeing a pattern. There were circles, little round dots, circles about maybe that big. Okay, about that big. No, I'm not throwing a six sign like a Masonic sign. No, I'm just, okay, it was around like that big. And uh, and this narrow, like a 1 inch thing. You remember the candy, Good and Plenty? Remember that candy, Good and Plenty from the 1970s? It was shaped like that. Um, so it's about maybe that long, and that narrow. Okay. And it was also the same color, look white in color. So you had round dots and those Good and Plenty shaped candies, about an inch long and about a quarter of an inch wide on it. And I just thought it was amazing to look at. It was quite a contrast to the cloth that it was on. Again, there was a dark color sack. I don't know what was inside the sacks. The sacks were all up, you know, and they're just sitting there in the room. And that's what I saw. And well, in my thinking about the shapes, there's an internet. I think what do you call it? By codes. We call it by. I forget the term, but it means two. And with computer language, it uses the same codes, the zeros and ones, 0 and 1. That is language of computer language. I'm just saying. So it it I think that's well, because I never see on sacks, the bags that they carry here in Africa, where I live now, uh, sacks with designs on it or codes. So I thought that was interesting. I wonder what it was trying to teach me, what it was trying to show me. I think some things may be symbolic. Again, these kids, they were just sitting there. It was very subdued, very quiet, dim lighting, but you could still see the young boys, at least two young boys, and it was lit up to see their features and everything, how the light reflected off their skin. Very nice. They look like just standard children that you find here in on the continent. And a bag with with those codes, circles and ones shapes. Okay. So that was what I saw. Now I want to get into Black Americans, people around the world are waking up. Yeah. Um, I was watching for the first time. Oh, I don't remember the name of the YouTuber, but the first letter is a V as in Victor, and then followed by 3 letters. That's what I remember. Uh, and they have a series of Blacks in Europe. And I watched at least 2 of their series. I think it's one of 8 in the series. And it was very, very refreshing watching. Okay, I think we're waking up. This one was really surprising for me, but very positive. But it could be misunderstood by some people as being reverse racism. But I don't think so. But I'll tell it anyway. Okay. Uh, th- this man, it turns out the man who's like hosting everything, never seen him before, but his parentage, he has a Black Nigerian father and a white European mother. His features, okay, he had short hair, very, very extremely short, and it could have even been bald, but it was like cut real, 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 real short. And he looks about in his 30s, looks like he's in prime health. Darker than me. He's a brown color, nice, rich brown color. And he has very European features, his face. And his body structure also is very, very European, in my opinion. And in fact, I think we kind of favor, he has the same nose that I have. Just it's obvious what he is. He speak, I forget where he was born, but he was at least raised in Britain. And he did discuss a little bit about his background. And at times he was crying in this video. It was like a documentary that he was in. He was he visits different Black places or places that feature Black people. And in this video, he was on the island of Cyprus. I don't know much Cyprus, but I know it's in the Mediterranean. And there's a community of people. Well, Cyprus is, I think, part of Europe, considered part of Europe. They'd be probably classified as white people. It has its history, Cyprus. Cyprus is mentioned in the Bible in the New Testament, so it has a long history, very, very long history. But what made this a video or documentary on Afro-Cyprus people was that this particular community of people, that this biracial man from Britain, raised in Britain of Black and white heritage. These people, you would say, look like maybe what they call North Africans, very light-skinned North African people, the men tended to be a little darker than the women that they're around. The women were very, whitish in color, or you call olive complexion, they would say. So they have the dark hair, dark eyes. And the men had a browner complexion. So, similar to my color, but maybe a little lighter than me, but a nice tan, nice brown. And what they were saying, these are people living in Cyprus. It's an island, and they want their children to know their African ancestry. Now, looking at them, people would say, oh, they would be classified as Caucasian or olive-skinned people who are in the sun, right? But these people, no. These people, even the women were very, very light-skinned, and they want their son they want to have his son marry a dark-skinned woman. My mouth dropped. My mouth dropped at that. I said, wow. Because even in like in North Africa, they really prefer people to marry lighter skinned people. Uh, especially with in North Africa, they prefer if their children marry, they marry light. Like they frown upon darker skinned women in particular. I mean, since the guy could be any color, any complexion, but they really want their women to be fair complected. But this community living in the island of Cyprus, on the island of Cyprus, they are very much connected to guess what part of Africa they're from. They are from historically Sudan. Yes, they are from Sudan. They know their heritage. Now, I don't know how they got to Cyprus. Were they was there a slave trade bringing them to Cyprus? That I do not know. But one thing I know, they're from there. I mean, they live in Cyprus, but they know their identity, their historical identity. And I was amazed at boldness that they had, the women and the men in that community, that they identify, they embrace their Africanness. It was quite refreshing to see that, because you usually always hear the opposite. And oh, there was something on Brazil too. I saw something on Brazil also. Um, and it was an awakening in Bahia. Bahia, yeah, it was something I saw in Bahia. Bahia is a state in Brazil. It's in northern Brazil. And it'd be Brazil's capital. And it was the major and largest port of where enslaved African people were brought to. Yes, that port in Bahia. It's called El Salvador or San Salvador, something like that. It's like it's a port city. I think it was. I think it's called Salvador, but it's a city in the state of Bahia, where historically the blacks were sent to, and then they spread out. They were transported to different parts of South America, and I don't remember the exact percentage, but it could have been 40% alone of the Africans that were captured. 40% was sent to Brazil alone. And again, a large percentage was sent to the Caribbean and the remaining part of the Americas. But in America, United States of America, the smallest proportion of slaves was sent to America. It blows your mind, right? Only about 8% of all these enslaved Africans, when the plane's coming, compete with that. Okay, I can't compete with a plane. Yeah, of all the enslaved blacks to America, only about 8%, 8, EIGHT, 8% only was sent to the United States. But you would think that all the slaves went to America, right? See, that they don't want you connected. They don't want you to know where you're sent to. They keep disguising it. Do they disguise it? They don't call it like Black America, blacks in the Americas. They call it Latin America. And then when they come to U.S., you think, okay, they have a different label than me. They're called Latin American, but not that they're blacks from the Americas, or Afro-Brazilian. Then, yeah, most enslaved people were sent to South America, then the Caribbean, and the last America. And see, when they change names, when you change a name on anything, you change their identity or the way they perceive yourself. So in America, they just use the term Black Americans, or now it's called African Americans. Okay. So you're always going to get a different perspective. You don't see that unity of what they call Latin America and Black America. And blacks need to learn the history about where we were sent to. Everybody wasn't sent to the Carolinas or Virginia. No, a small portion was sent there. The bulk was sent to South America and the Caribbean. We just really know about places like Jamaica or Haiti. And some of you may even know about Cuba. But that's about it. And you think everywhere is North America. And you have to educate yourself and learn. The slavery was brought all over. You had a thriving Black Peruvian population, and you don't really know about it. And then you think all these people coming to America, and I would imagine the people from so-called Latin America, they feel separate from blacks up in the United States. But we really all one historically because we went through the same thing. It's just what we called post-slavery, and in the context of migration, and we're viewing each other as enemies or people that you have to compete against, right? But when Europeans come to the Americas, they don't compete against each other. They work together, right? They work together, and they are strong. They are strong. They help each other. They have a calm between each other. So Black Americans need to expand and understand the history. History is not just a Black person in Mississippi or Louisiana getting lynched. Blacks are all over the Americas. And when you just hear a different name rather than their racial identity, you think there's someone separate from you and you work against each other. You need to wake up also. So anyway, that it was a refreshing show regarding Brazil and how Brazil has a lot of its connections with Africa, like candomblé, different religious ceremonies of West Africa, and how they cook their food. They talked about the what do you call it? What do you call it? You had a lot of way slaves in Brazil. Oh yeah, they mentioned about that. 7,000 of these locations in Brazil alone of runaway communities, and how their lives are being taken advantage of. They can barely sustain themselves now. The government is not allowing educational things. I would imagine that they still have to pay taxes. Like, even though it's really something, even though they broke away from their oppressors years ago. Brazil also was the last country in the Americas to end chattel slavery. And you would think that when they broke away from their oppressors, those communities, in my opinion, are separate nations and should be considered so or considered such by the United Nations. By the United Nations, they are being harassed by the heads of the country. They're not really, I mean, they live by themselves, these communities, but they are having some difficult times in enterprise, in the commerce of things, and that's how they get you, commerce. They don't want you to have commerce. See, think of commerce. Anytime you hear the word commerce, think of your human body with the vascular system in your body. People, when you have bad circulation in your body, do you have vibrancy? You have vibrancy when you have clogged arteries or stagnant blood. No, you need to get the nutrients traveling throughout your body, and that promotes wellness. So you need a lot of oxygen, you need the micronutrients running through your blood, and that brings about vibrancy and growth. They're not having it because they don't have the same type of trade opportunities. But I think it's slowly changing, according to this video I saw. And then, okay, going back to this young man, a 30-something-year-old, he looks about biracial guy, and he's doing I think an 8-part series on blacks in Europe. And again, I mentioned about the island of Cyprus. And here these people, in many of our eyes, we wouldn't consider them black people. Some of them would call them, Europeans or Arab-looking people. But these are people who know their identity and want to teach it to their children. And so some people might say, isn't that reverse racism? What is the goal? The goal is not to overthrow or oppress anybody. They know who they are in relationship to who they live around. They live around people whose ancestry is from Turkey, Iran, Iraq, Europe. All these peoples over the centuries, a millennial, who migrated to Cyprus. And this group, they knew they came from Sudan. And again, I don't know the circumstances of how from Sudan were they part of were they enslaved? That I don't know. But see, the identity never left. Just like with some Brazilians, not all Brazilians have their identity as Africa, but even though they're light skinned, well, we can classified as a lighter skinned group, their awareness in relationship who they live by, their blackness stands out. And they don't want their culture. They don't want their culture to be erased. Yeah, the men from this group, the black men from the group, they chose what they say white women to marry. Maybe they wanted to fit in, to assimilate, whatever. But now they're waking up. They said, we don't want, I mean, they're themselves in the video. They're saying, we want our color to fade. We don't want, see, the skin color is a reminder to them as a group who they really are. They know they're not European, not Arab, but blacks from the Sudan. And you know, with Sudan, did you know with like people talk about Egypt? Egypt, the modern day Egypt, those are man-made boundaries from Europeans, from the, oh, what was that? Berlin Conference, it's called Berlin Conference, where a group of white European men and carved up the continent of Africa into states. And so that included modern day Egypt. But Egypt also included Sudan people. And back in those days with the pyramids and the pharaoh, they were not Arabs. They were not Islam either, Muslim. They were not Muslim. These were people who had their indigenous African, and I shouldn't say Africa. Excuse me, let me correct myself. Kemet, ancient Kemet. Egypt is a foreign word. It's not an African word. I forget what it means. So forgive me for that. But it is Kemet. And Kemet included modern day Sudan. And, and the people of Sudan are very dark skinned. Very, very. Some of the darkest people on the planet is in Sudan. And unfortunately, there's a war. See, again, politics. The northern portion of Sudan was imposed on the religion of Islam. Again, your religion is your choice. Your religion is your choice. But I'm just saying, the northern part is dominated by Islam, and the southern part was invaded by Britain, and it imposed its religion of Christianity. The north is, I guess they have a jihad. They want to spread Islam into the southern portion. But why I mentioned about the darkness, see, the with the religion of Islam, also with the jihads, the men, the convert, they impregnate the women. So like the northern portion was invaded by Islamic people who are generally a little like, mixed with Arabic. When an Arab man has children, the children are classified as Arabs. Arab people are actually a mixed race group, and I think the word Arab actually means the mixing or something. But they have an identity through Islam primarily. Islamic faith has a very, very strong influence on their psychic, the way they think and perceive themselves. Okay. But and again, the southern portion of Sudan is predominantly Christian, and they are being terrorized by the North. They want to spread the North want to spread Islam to the southern portions, and I think there was a war, and so now you have Sudan and South Sudan. South Sudan is more Christian, mostly Christian, and then the North, regular Sudan, is predominantly Islamic. But what was happening during the war, the northern Sudanese were raping. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that word. Excuse me. They were doing sexual things against the women, and they were purposely selecting the very, very dark-skinned women to impregnate them. So, and they know that in the culture, when that happens, the offspring would be classified as Arab and an ownership of them. Okay, so they will lose their black identity. Okay, just letting you know. So, so this was This is the history of Sudan, about modern history of Sudan, that there is a tug of war between northern and the southern portion, and it's about race and color. See, the color is a reminder of our being indigenous to the planet. Black people are indigenous to the planet. And when you look, you go to the museum. I'm going to give you a homework assignment, people. You can even go on the internet and Google it, or you go to these museums. Okay, um, go like in New York we have the Museum of Modern Art, and they have a section of Greek history, Greek art, ancient Greek art. You know those terracotta bowls and everything. Well, I mean, I'm sure many of you have seen those terracotta bowls that are painted, and the pictures of the Greek people in sports, and their skin is white. Those white figures. Okay, another plane. Hold it. Sorry, it's a plane. Sorry about that. Okay, I don't compete with planes. See, you have to know where you're, what to fight. You can't fight a plane. So when the plane is flying over your place, you have to be quiet. Okay. Okay, so going on. Um, but see, the back to with Greece. The older terracotta, or the old porcelain, or I mean, not porcelain, ceramic bowls, the older ones are all black people. I kid you not, people. The older ones are black skinned people. But they're doing the same thing. The artwork and everything is the color of the people. The color of the people are black, jet black in color. And then the later clay pots, the people are white skinned. So what happened? What happened? Yeah, you have to see for yourself, people. You have to. I am not lying to you. Go check it out on the internet, museum of modern art, or any other museum. And look, say, I want to see the ancient Greek artwork, bowls, paintings. You're going to see the Mediterranean, the Greece is in what called the Mediterranean Sea. These people were black-skinned people, okay? They were not Arabs. They were not Berbers. Okay, all that stuff came with Islam. Islam was 1,600 years old? Okay, so this is relatively a recent history of the population now. And so it's kind of sad, like the people who are living in the Mediterranean, like I'm sure many of you have seen um, what do you call it, the migrant workers, the migrants, boatloads of people, boatloads that are crossing the Mediterranean Sea for job opportunities in Europe in particular. And many of these people died also. Okay. And it's like, wow. Remember a couple years ago, I think was it the Arab Spring? It was a couple of years back. And it was in the thousands of people marching, or I should say trekking. No, I don't want to say marching, trekking across the valleys in Europe. They were headed up north, going to, I think they were headed to Britain. So they crossed the Mediterranean, and then they entered, I think, what was that? Oh, I forget the name of what's that, the Rhine River or something? Or the Danube? I forget the name. Well, anyway, yeah, it was very frightening to see. And they're all men, too. All men, young men, men in their prime, in their teens and 20s. Yeah, I was frightened to look at that. Why I was frightened? Because in any nation, in any race, in any color, you have a man not working and they are trekking through in thousands looking for work. There's a song, a Caribbean song. A hungry man is an angry man. Are there any West Indians in the house? Do any of you know the song? You could just Google it. A hungry man is an angry man. And someone told me it's like, I used to live in the Caribbean also. And this woman that I knew was talking to me, and she was telling me a story. And I laughed at the name of the song because it had so much truth in it. And, you know, a lot of the Caribbean songs, like Calypso, they have this real happy beat, but the words are really serious, you know? And that dynamics between the two, a happy beat with a but serious words, it's almost comical because it's unexpected. It's unexpected. But yes, people, when you have a man who does not have food, and the hunger could be different types of hunger. Hunger meaning that you're not satiated with a particular thing. It could be anything, and they don't have it, and they become angry. You take away a toy from a little boy, and they get angry, right? Well, imagine that boy never grows up. Imagine that boy never grows. You know what I'm talking about. A hungry man is an angry man. He could be hungry for many things, and in particular, if you're a woman, okay, and you don't have a job, you don't know what you're going to do, you become angry, and you can have a pack mentality and go on a rampage, just like what happened in New York recently. You know, that's why I left. The people angry. The migrants are going there, the illegals. Yes, migrants are people who are legal, who enter a country legally. Okay, so I use the term migrants if they were legally entering in the country looking for work or whatever. No problem with that. But when they come into your country undocumented, not vested, you better pray real hard. When they're in the thousands, they can harm. And but either way, I'm kind of breaking off the cut. But it's all related. Human migration. Human migration. This is what it's about. And so, yeah, so you had people from we call it Central Asia, actually. It said that what we call white people or Europeans of today, another plane, sorry, another, not going to compete with those planes. Human migration. Um, So yeah, so modern day Europeans, and it's when you talk to a geneticist and things like that, it's kind of they kind of like fudge a little bit about the real history of where white people come from. And no, this video is not about hating white people, but it's about awakening black people around the planet. But the geneticists kind of not really sure where white people came from, but the genetics seem to suggest Central Asia and that migrated west, what's considered now Europe or Western Europe. But really, where did they come from? And I think that's the real secret about modern Europe and what happened to their genetics. See, they want you to believe Yeah, and they were promoting in some of the videos I've seen on genetics and the origins of humanity that we all came out of Africa. Now, if if their genetics, if the so-called white people started in Africa, the heart of Africa, East Africa, near where I live, Rwanda, not far from Rwanda, and it's hot here, that w- they claim like they want to say that it evolved over time, over thousands of years. The color changed over thousands of years. If that happened, you can't just, the change according to genetics. It's something that happened right away. And if if it was something changed over time, uh, they would get burned. They cannot. If you notice, like in Africa, whites settled in Africa only in certain locations because their skin really cannot take the climate here. So you'll find them in southern Africa because they have the high mountains there and it's cool, the weather. Okay. You're not going to find them in the equatorial area. And you may find some in the northern part. Okay, but just in selected areas. And again, they don't have very big communities in these non-cool areas, okay? But even the genetics story of whites originated in Africa, their stories don't, when you talk about genetics, things have to have supposedly a gradual change in the genetics because natural selection, whatever, and things happen in stages. But it doesn't fit the model because they wouldn't be able to cope. The change had to be an over, something overnight, and they wouldn't be able to survive in these climates. So I really think that you had genetic manipulation of a certain group, and with that genetics, they also program the way they think. And you notice that where they move to, if you look in their history, a lot of wars, a lot of also with these was technology. Like I saw a video on ancient Portugal, which was really interesting. The history of Portugal. And Portugal is a mixed group of people as well, genetically, they said. So where did all this technology and works with iron and brass and the skill of farming? They do very well, especially Portugal. I've met Portuguese people in Hawaii, and they're very good with farming. Very good. They know about plants and everything, and they have a very green thumb. The people that I met in Hawaii. Um, so either way, I'm kind of going off topic, but it's all related. So I think you had a programming of people. You had a deliberate change of the genetics overnight, and with it, the change in their thinking to be more warlike and to be, conquering, and with it also the religions that also promoted a certain lifestyle. Okay. Again, you can have your religion. Whatever what serves you, you serve it. I'm not here to criticize anybody's religion. Okay. Um, so it seems to be like an awakening with these programs, these videos I'm seeing, like the Afro-Cyprus people, Afro-Brazilians, and there are other things too, this program. Um, Something about I guess, Pole, Pole, they call it. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be short for Poland, I'm not sure, but this series is on Afro-Europeans, and that the people are embracing, blacks around the world are embracing their uniqueness and their pride. And I think this is what's going to really strengthen us, no matter where you're located on the planet. Because you have people who want to, they want you to assimilate. They don't want you to embrace your heritage. And unfortunately, when I was growing up in New York, I went through a big transformation as well. I'm a black woman, but yes, I have mixing in me is quite obvious. If you know what my family looks like, it's obvious, and I embrace that too. So I'm not about trashing a race for the sake of trashing. What I'm trying to do in this video, my purpose in this video is to wake yourself up, to embrace whatever what you are, whatever what your genetics are. Embrace your genetics, embrace your history, and don't be ashamed of who you are. That's how they get you. Don't be ashamed and stand your ground on who you are. And that is my key message here. Um, and it was a very interesting program. I wish I knew the name of the channel. I just know it's with the letter V. Maybe later on, maybe I might be able to put a link to this video if I can, so that you can watch this series. What else I want to talk about? Oh, I want to talk about they were talking about Obama now. Um, Things are happening politically. Oh, um, kind of backtrack a little bit. There's a black woman by the name of Candace Owen. Candace Owen. It could be another distraction, people, another distraction in America regarding the Jeffrey Epstein file or list of people. It all could be based on that. But Candace Owens is a YouTuber. She came out some years ago. I first learned of her by chance in 2016 or 2017. And she is controversial to some. She may not be liked by everybody, but many people like her. Okay. She's very well spoken. And she has a very interesting platform on YouTube. And she also has a website. Please look at her website, Candace Owens website. Yeah, because some of her videos are banned or, are limited because of the controversies that she talks about. And in one of the in her website, she has like a playlist on her website on the president's wife of France. That people that yeah, this is going to be, I think, very important in this current politics. And again, it could be they're doing this for a smoke screen, so you won't really find out about what happened about Jeffrey Epstein and all that. The list. Trump is going back on his promise on the exposing Epstein. Well, Candace Owens, um, oh, what was I say? Well, Candace Owens has on her YouTube channel and especially on her website under her name um, about the the wife of President Macron. The wife allegedly, it's really, no matter how you slice it, you come out with peanuts. It's real controversial. Allegedly, the wife of Macron, I forget her name. It starts with a J, I think. I forget. My apology, not remembering her name. But Mrs. Macron, she allegedly, according to researchers in France, okay, it started out in France, the president's wife from France. Oh, another plane. I'm sorry, another plane. Sorry. Sorry about that. Another plane was coming. Yeah. According to researchers in France, and this French man has a book on the president of France's wife, called Becoming. Oh yeah, Brigitte. Brigitte, that's her name, Brigitte. Becoming Brigitte. Allegedly, the allegations are that Mrs. Macron, Brigitte Macron, is a man, allegedly. And it's quite interesting. The data that author provides, and Candace Owens, the Black American woman, excuse me, she's a mommy now. She's married with 3 kids. She just had a baby just a couple of weeks ago. Um, she she learned of him. I'm not sure. I don't remember whether that man in France, that author in France, contacted Candace Owens, but either way, they did speak. They had a meeting. He is also on her channel. I mean, her website. They did an interview, so you can watch that interview on Candace Owens' website. Okay, YouTube. What do you call it? Prevents a lot of her work out. Okay, so and she got sued, or she's getting sued by the president of France's wife. The I'm sorry. Um, the president, yeah, the France's president's wife is suing Candace Owens, and she's going to be served her papers. But before she served the papers to Candace, she gave a copy of the lawsuit to American news companies, you know, major news outlets in America, and is suing her here in America, not in France. Interesting. And interesting that the president's wife wants to sue in America, the American lady, Candace Owens, and not the French guy who wrote the book about life, about the president's, the French president's wife. He has the book. And Candace is just repeating the story, but is also doing her research on the subject. Yeah. And why is this important? About illusion. See, I think this is all comes in this, because France was a major player in the transatlantic slave trade, major player, and they had a lot of influence in Africa. They had colonies in Africa, in North Africa and West Africa. And haven't you heard lately that like Mali and Senegal are pulling away from France, right? And other former French colonies in Africa. They ordered the French military out of their country. Yeah, see, we're waking up. We're tired of the harassment. Here we worked for them for many years, and we're not appreciated. Yeah. And you had people in the Cape Verde. I saw a video. I know I'm kind of all over the place, but I'm just as I remember. So you can do your research and go on YouTube, and anywhere where you want to do your research. Cape Verdean. It's a series of islands off the coast of Senegal. And you had blacks that were transported from the mainland of Africa and sent to the little islands off the coast of Africa to become enslaved, the Cape Verdean islands. And they were under Portuguese rule or oppression. And many of these Cape Verdeans had migrated to Portugal to be treated like crap. They're living in areas that I hope I make a mistake that this can't be Portugal where they're living. I have to look at it again. But at least you have a population that left Cape Verdean and moved to Portugal and are not being treated very, the way they live in squalor, it looked horrible. And these people want to hold on to their roots, their African roots. Yes, it is a blend of Portuguese too, yes. This style of music, but a lot of it is African, and they want to hold on to their African identity, their roots, and it was very refreshing. But anyway, giving it back to France. Again, France was a major player in the transatlantic trade, slave trade, and had many colonies in Africa itself. And people, oh God, what was I saying? Yeah, so Macron's wife allegedly was a school teacher. She was in her late 30s or early 40s, and she met a 14-year-old boy, and they started a sexual relationship. Did you hear me? The president's wife from France had a relationship. At least they wanted to push it like really at 15 that they start a relationship, and this teacher dressed as a woman. Um, they had a relationship, and they later married. The president of France. The president of France was groomed by this older woman. Many years his senior. So you do the math. Okay, you have a 14-year-old and a 38 or 40-year-old woman. Okay, you do the math. That's a big, 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 big age difference. And that is pedophilia. That is pedophilia, okay? When you have relations with a child that young, and again, you're a school teacher and you're messing with a 14-year-old, oh, yeah, they want to say, no, he wasn't 14. He turned 15 right away, right? It's nonsense. And it's just a lot of bizarre things. You got to watch Ken Owens' videos on this couple. It's really bizarre. The information about the man, Mr. Macron, very bizarre background, and his wife. Okay, so they met. That's how they met. She was a school teacher, he was a student, and they got involved and they married. And when she was messing around with this 14, 15-year-old boy, yeah, his parents, the boy's parents found out and moved him to that school to a different school. Okay. But also, oh, what was I getting at now? What happened? I'm sorry. Yeah, oh, so with the lady now. Okay. So she about the lady. So you said, okay, well, so what, if they were dating and that's a woman and she's a school teacher, well, what happened? I mean, where was she before? Okay, so she might have been about 40 years old when she was a teacher. But her background, okay, she's from a famous family, a very well-to-do French family. They were in the chocolate industry. Um, and there's hardly any pictures. Now, she allegedly has children from a prior relationship. People. This Brigitte. She allegedly was in a prior relationship and had married, allegedly, had married allegedly a man, and they had kids. But there's no pictures, not women, no women. Okay. Now, I know many women, when they get married for the first time, aren't you at joy having your photo taking, you in your wedding dress, right? That's the biggest day in a woman's life. And when you have your first babies, right? We had at least two kids, allegedly has two kids. But there's no pictures. There's no documentation of, or no photos of her being pregnant, no photos of her wedding. Um, but this alleged man that had kids. But in present day, she had adult kids, and her kids had shared a photo of their father. Now, how could you have from a family? You don't have a picture of your father and your mother with you. There's none. There's none. Let's go back a little farther. Okay. Now again, she's from Brigitte is from a very well-to-do family from France. There's a family photo of is a group of people, and allegedly in this photo, and Candace Owens shows this photo, this one of the few photos of the Brigitte's family. But if you notice in the photo, now they want to claim that the mommy in the photo, there's a little toddler sitting on the mommy's lap, and they claim that that is Brigitte. Okay. So you just say, okay, that's Brigitte when she was a toddler or infant. Okay. But if you look at the picture, the photo to the far left is an individual, a young boy, look about the age of 10 in that photo. And that child looks exactly like Brigitte. But there's no other photo really. With more digging with the history of Brigitte, they dug up a picture. Okay, in France, there was mandatory enlistment in the military for 2 years, something close to 2 years, and in short, they found a picture. He They didn't want him to serve. Oh, how did they do it? I don't want to get it wrong, the information. But in short, the father of this family, of Brigitte's family, didn't want him to stay in France and moved him to Algeria. And back then, Algeria was uh, having conflict with France. Algeria used to be a French colony, and they got their independence around 1962. And so it was unique that the boy be there because this conflict that they had. And it was a way for him to escape having to serve in France. But he went to school in Algeria. But there is some documentation that he had to, I think, initially enlist or something. So there is a photo that they dug up with this guy in that photo of Brigitte's family. And it's exactly, it was a boy. Only boys go, in France, compulsory military, not girls. But it was a boy, an 8-year-old boy. And that's the last picture you see. So you saw the picture of the little 10-year-old and then 8-year-old because he had to register for the military, but they shipped him out to Algeria so he didn't have to fight or something like that, you know. Um, and then there's complete absence of this person. So there's no there's another photo of allegedly the little girl that's sitting on the mommy's lap. A christen when Catholic. So a christening, you get your communion. That's the term, communion in the Catholic Church, and she's wearing a cute little outfit, a very pretty little girl. Um, but that picture does not look like the boy that's in that photo that's on the far left. That looks just like a Brigitte, the person that's impersonating Brigitte. Evidently, allegedly, that who's on mommy's lap is that child's name is Brigitte, but that's the baby sister, and the boy to the far left that looks just like the woman that we see today, Macron, Mr. Macron's wife, the same face. And then there are ties, but at the age 30, there is a complete obscurification of this boy. What happened to this boy? Well, they want to say this boy is actually this other man. They look nothing alike. They're in a video when Brigitte married Mr. Macron. Okay, they had family, but it's mostly oh God, I forget which. I think mostly her. Oh, I don't want to get it wrong. There were family members, but that that one particular person that is shown in the video of them when they got married, uh, look, they're trying to pass off that man with the boy. That's on the left side of the photo. Nothing alike. Nothing alike. And you know what else, people? um, you have, like in China, they have this software for um, facial ID. It's called Face ID in China, or at least it comes from China, or at least they utilize it in China to identify people. And they use that software on the subjects in that photo. So you take the known videos or photos of the wife, and you compare it to that photo of the group picture of Brigitte's family, and the computer software for facial face identity um, indicates that the little girl in the photo on mommy's lap and and that woman, the adult woman that's married to the president of France, they are not the same people. But you use that computer software with the boy on the far left and that modern woman that's calling herself Brigitte, married to the France's president, is a match. Is a match. You heard me right. Is a match. I, I hope I'm making sense. So it seems to suggest there was an identity swamping and stealing. I'll just use that. There seem to be taking of someone else's identity. But whatever happened to that little girl at mommy's lap? Where did she go? And also, to increase the likelihood that Candace Owens' um, theory might be onto something, is that the Brigitte was associated with this doctor a couple of years ago. And this doctor is an expert in sex reassignment, people. I kid you not. You got to watch Candace Owens' series on the French president's wife, Brigitte Macron. It's really interesting. So, yes, so Brigitte had associations she had surgery with this man. It is known that, yes, she had surgery with this this doctor. But it turns out the doctor is a specialist in sex reassignment. Why would you go to a sex reassignment doctor for a normal a procedure? So, what does that have to do with now? Okay, yeah. So, what does this have to do with apples and oranges? Okay, so you have a changing in the system. You have an old system. France is an old country. It is the most it's the most visited country on the planet. France. Okay, and France uh is in this union. They're pushing a narrative that she's a glamour queen. And I mean, even before I heard this story, I've been to France and I actually loved France when I went there. Um, but France, this woman seemed to have an archetype French woman, ultra French woman. And I said, boy, why is she like acting and dressing like that? Very beefy, like. And don't you know with at least in the United States, the alphabet soup men in America, they also seem to act very hyper feminized. These um, people called trannies. Again, it is your choice if you want to be what you want to be. But just as long you let people know you are. But either way, uh, it's like a hyper, like, yes, I'm a woman. A woman doesn't have to try to act like a woman, in my opinion. In my opinion, you are who you are. And if you're so female, why don't you have a picture of you with your babies? None of them. No pictures of her pregnant. No picture of her in her first marriage. None. None. Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. All obscure. And if you're a real woman, why would you want to hide that? And you're the what do you call it? The president's wife. You want to show your babies off in photos and everything like that. But it's all obscured. And it seems to suggest it's obscured uh, um, on purpose. But let's say you have an agenda, and the agenda is to transhumanism or your association with um see you don't want people to now it seems like now that there's a move to um shut down reproduction by encouraging sex reassignment massively and having governments pay for it. At least in America, that's what was happening in America. But let's say in France also they might be promoting that. And it seems like that the association with other people. The husband is Mr. Macron is also photographed in his home, standing next to a book of a very, very well-known pedophile, a very well-known pedophile. And would you, people, you're promoting beauty and grace, and you're going to pose next to a book of a famous pedophile? He was an artist, but he was a pedophile. So everything, it seems like they're shoving it in your face. This lifestyle, again, your lifestyle is your business. Your business. You are who you are. Don't lie about it. Okay? And so what is the connection? And is there a connection with Epstein and is foul. Now, Epstein also was a pedophile, right? And the bird and the feather flock together. So it's really telling. What is this orientation of a nation? I mean, people look to France. People look up for France used to be the cultural icon of the planet. The French language and culture were considered, if you had the French educated in France, spoke French, you were considered cultured and it was praised. Even in Russia, Russia has French roots. Russia has French roots in its royal family that they used to have. The royal family were destroyed in Russia, but the culture, the artwork there, you look at the palace in Russia, it's all French styled. It was considered the top of anything. If you to be somebody, be cultured slash French culture, right? And in literature. So if this was the historical prominence of France, and then if you have the French leader being groomed by a much older woman who's actually a man, who's really controlling France. And did you see also in that video was about a month ago of Mrs. Macron slapping or hitting Mr. Macron on a plane in Asia. What is going on, people? What is going on with this? So let me link this with Obama now. Obama, yeah, the video that I saw with Obama today. Yeah, please listen, people. All this thing is related, I believe. So now, just before I started this live stream, I saw a video about Obama, Mr. Obama. Now, I did vote for Obama the first time, not the time. People are waking up. You had a video of this woman, Black American woman, and it's calling out Obama. Do you know what's happening now with Obama? Obama was in an interview with his wife and saying that, I mean, does this man eat a stupid pill or what? Did he eat a stupid pill? What? I thought when you get older, you get wiser. So, what happened? Well, he's talking to Michelle about when he was starting out in college, that he had a professor, and he said how good it was to have a teacher like him, like what he had, who was a gay man, and how this man provided very good teaching and insights for Obama to become what he is. What is he really talking about? Obama was pushing the narrative that Black America should embrace and have gay teachers. Hello. Black America does not need a black homosexual man to teach your boys. What are they going to be teaching? What is that demographic going to teach them? They're going to recruit them and groom them. That's what their purpose is. It is to groom. Again, you could be any lifestyle you want. You could be an apple, a pear, or a carrot, whatever what you want to be. You can be what you want to be, but be it by yourself and stop pushing the agenda. See, the agenda, in my opinion, you don't have to recruit someone to be of the alphabet soup lifestyle. You are who you are. So if you're straight, you're straight. If you're bent, you're bent. You don't have to recruit. You are who you are, and you express who you are. Why are they trying to put teachers of that persuasion in the American school system, knowing that a lot of black boys don't have their black fathers living at home? Why is that? They want to replace the straight black man with the gay man, and that gay man groom your black boys. Yeah, I believe it's a war against the black family. And that's also why I left America, because I saw the writing on the wall, and they want you to, they want to erase the black family, the black community. So the drugs, they get you confused by your identity. And I noticed that in the school systems, a lot of teachers are fruitcakes. A lot of the teachers are fruitcakes. And why is that? Because they have an agenda. And it seems like this agenda gets the jobs. You go to the news reporters, a lot of those black men that you see, all of a sudden they want to recruit black guys to the news. Well, a lot of these black dudes are gay. Why is that? How is that they are bypassing the straight black male and they are rewarding black men that if they become of that persuasion, that they will give them jobs and high profile jobs. See, they want them to be high profiled so that the general black population will see them in the media and copy their style of dress, talk, and attitude. That's why. They don't want the black family to grow. And they're also teaching, it seems, for the black woman to hate the black man. Thus, you have the Black Lives Matter organization. And who is that black woman sleeping with but her white wife? Again, you marry who you want to marry. I'm not here to judge you. I'm just sharing what is happening. And that somehow these organizations that seem to be thriving and getting donations are gay based organizations, and that they are manipulating the straight black community to be angry with themselves, to not trust one another, right? Or isn't all this fighting in a black and black crime? Why isn't Black Lives Matter